So we all have like this love for something and we're passionate about something. And that passion generally will lead to opportunities. And what I'm really excited about is YouTube, because YouTube gives you the opportunity to take that passion and start to grow. And you can actually build audiences and then also make amazing, impactful content that can elevate the world. And for me, that's why I love YouTube, is the opportunity to treat it as a business, but also take that passion and impact more lives. Those lives that can be impacted is something that I get really excited about. So if you are a YouTuber struggling to try to figure it out, trying to figure out what would work, what doesn't work, I want this video, this live stream, this interview to help you have a little bit more clarity of the things that are really important when you're actually addressing content creation on YouTube. I also want to go in depth on the ramifications of what could happen if you actually speak to the viewer, which is what we want to talk about, right? And at the end of the day, is taking your passion and putting it out for the world and really growing. So super excited to be here. If you're new to me, I'm Daryl Eves. I've been on YouTube since 2005. I worked with some of the biggest content creators on the planet. I own VidSummit, which is a conference for YouTubers to learn everything YouTube and also the business side. And for me, I like to do these interviews to give you an opportunity, a glimpse that the everyday person can actually go and succeed on YouTube. And, you know, this is kind of my give back moment, you know, to encourage you to really seize this opportunity, which is YouTube. And I love it. I love YouTube so much. I really do. And one of my favorite things to do is help people that have passion and show them kind of the things that they need to do to improve so that they can take that passion and really make a sustainable business. And so I am joined on by one of my students, Jonathan Michael. How you doing, Jonathan?
Good, Daryl. Thanks.
I'm really excited about this because I remember our first conversation that we had, and it was about what, a year and a half ago or whatever it was.
About a year ago.
About a year ago. Yeah, and I remember having the conversation. You were talking about, oh yeah, I really like The Chosen. I'm like, me too. I like The Chosen too, because 8 years ago, I took YouTube and was able to start a TV show. Now I produce, and my partner Dallas Jenkins, just amazing. And we're rolling out the 5th season. You're a big fan, and you're like, hey, and you're like, wait, but he also does YouTube. This is interesting. And so we had that conversation. So why don't you kind of introduce yourself and share a little bit of how you started your journey, and let's kind of deep dive into this.
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to say something. A year ago, I was struggling. Like when I was on that call with you, there was hardly any views coming in. I felt like I had put so much energy and effort into the channel, and I just wasn't seeing any results. I felt like quitting, probably much like many of the people on this call. Yep. And what happened was I came across your content, I came across your book, and I just started doing what you said. And all of the formula, everything that you teach, I started implementing it. And now today the channel has skyrocketed, millions of views. It's absolutely incredible. So thank you for that. I just want to say thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I think for me, it's like when I started doing mentoring, I was like, I want to mentor people that want to win. And when we had conversations, I could kind of feel your heart of why you wanted to do it. I'm like, okay, if there's ever a person in the world that needs to win, it's you.
Thank you.
I'm really, really grateful for that. Okay, well, let's kind of start out on this, because I do believe, people watch types of interviews like this, and they'll read, the YouTube formula, which right here, if you don't have a copy, put in the word book. We'll get you a book for there as well. But like they'll read and they don't apply anything. Mm-hmm. And so when did you start on YouTube? How long has it been? What was your journey on that?
So I started a couple years ago, and I wanted to make content about my own faith. So like Bible content, I wanted to help people understand it better. And so I started uploading videos, and what happened was the third video that I uploaded popped off. So I uploaded my first video, got like 500 views. I uploaded my second video, got maybe 1,000, but my third video got like 40,000 views. And so what I had thought at the time was, wow, I'm really good at this. You know, I must be this genius. And that couldn't be further from the truth. What I learned after that, every video I uploaded after that just totally tanked. And the reason was I didn't understand why that video did well, which now looking back, I understand why it did well now that I've learned some of these things. And so it was about a year ago that I, you know, had uploaded a lot of videos at that point and had just kind of was struggling to get views. And I actually came across a VidSummit video. I know you have VidSummit coming out or the next VidSummit in October, but I came across this VidSummit video and it was Roberto Blake.
Oh yeah, he's good.
Yeah, he's awesome. And so there was something that he said that just stuck with me that I've just carried with me to this point. And what he said was, because the reality is this Christian niche, there's thousands of people making content, and you know, all kinds of videos, all kinds of Christians, people from all over the world making Christian content. So it's like, what are the odds that I'm going to actually stand out against all of these thousands of other people that are also making content? But what Roberto said really stuck out to me. He said, there's no such thing as oversaturation of high quality content.
Yeah.
There's only oversaturated low quality content on YouTube.
Yep.
He said the amount of content, the amount of channels that are producing high quality content is very, very low. And
Yep.
so when you think of it in that terms, now it starts to narrow down the field quite a bit. And you start thinking to yourself, oh, I think I can do this. If I can just produce content that's high quality, that people are going to enjoy and want to watch. And because here's what happens is when I would make a video, and I'm sure a lot of the people on this call can say yes to this. What happens is you make a video and you put a lot of effort and work into it. And then you see that the video only gets like 1,000 views or only gets like 500 views.
Or
and
10
so then,
or 10 views.
Yeah, exactly. And so then there's like this little voice in your head that starts telling you, you know what, this isn't worth it. You should just quit.
Yep.
And then so then you say, you know what, no, voice, I'm going to try it again. And then you do it again, and then you fail again.
Yep.
And then and then there's this little voice telling you again, you know what, you're not cut out for this. Like, and I heard this little voice in my head every single time I would make a new video.
Yep.
And what you have to do is you have to train your mind to say, you have to train your mind to understand that every other creator out there is also hearing that little voice as well. So it's not just you, which means if you're the creator that can push past that little voice and learn to ignore it and block it out, then eventually, if you learn the right strategies, if you get the right mentorship, the right education, you're going to grow.
Yeah, I love that for a lot of reasons, because I think one of the things that really slows us down in the world is self-doubt. And I think, you know, there's bold steps that need to be made, but most people can't do it because they're like afraid to. I'm too afraid to do this, or I'm too afraid to do that. I was actually on a call with a student yesterday, and she's just like blowing up. And I'm like, oh, let's like get more frequent. And we went into the specifics of it. And she almost went paralyzed. She's like, you know, I need to see what's going to happen with the next video because I don't want it to underperform. I'm like, you're missing the point. And that's where I want to start, is what is the point? I think people come onto YouTube and they have a desire to grow. And my thing is when I mentor someone, I actually do what you just recommend. The first week is like goal setting mindset. It's like, hey, we're going to create a plan for this to happen. We don't even talk YouTube. Like I don't care if the goals are even related to YouTube. I just want to get them to realize the way that I process things. But then we get into the specifics, and this is where I want to really focus in on.
Yeah.
So many people really only focus in on their content, and that's not what I focus in on. I don't. I think so many are so obsessed, need to make better content, and I'm not disagreeing with Roberto Blake of like, hey, having quality content, but what I'm saying is you need to bring value. That value needs to come across, and that value needs to be received by a viewer. Because if there's one thing that YouTube's all about, it's about the viewer. It's not about the creator. I know that the egos of creators are thinking, oh my gosh, it's YouTube's for me, or the YouTube hates me. No, YouTube doesn't hate you. It's people. People might not like your videos. And so it's just like, can we take that back? So I want to start your journey, because like you started on YouTube. And you got frustrated. You had this thing in your head saying, maybe I'm not good enough. I'm only getting, 500 views. I think a lot of people would be excited with 500 views if they're only getting 10. But you're like, oh, I put so much energy into it. It deserves more, or am I not doing something right? Let's talk about that first stage. And you can kind of openly talk about, my mentoring in this regard. But it's like, when you changed your focus on your content creation, because you didn't change your content creation, but you change your focus of how you're going to approach it. Let's kind of talk about that, because I think a lot of people can find value in really understanding the viewer that would take your content as value.
Yeah. So a couple of things. So I'm passionate about the videos. There's a message that I want to share with the world, and I'm sure everyone on this call has a message that they want to share. And so, I'm making all of these videos, but for some reason they're not getting the views. And, there was videos that, like, for example, there was a video I literally put 80 hours of work into, and the video just totally flopped. And it's because so the video was high quality, but it wasn't direct. I wasn't thinking about the audience. I wasn't thinking about who's watching these videos. And so what happened was once I started getting a hold of Daryl's content, once I started getting a hold of your content, I started really thinking about the viewer. And one of the things that you go really deep into, and that caused me to go really deep into, is to do a lot of recon and research.
Yeah.
So basically it is looking at all of the channels in your niche, not all of them, but all of the highest performing channels in your niche. So I took like 30 of the top Christian content out there. And specifically, there's a lot of different Christian content out there. There's reaction videos, there's podcasts.
Right.
I was looking for more of like Bible explainers, or something close to that vein. And so I took the top 30 channels that were doing the highest views. And there was one video though that really stuck out. So what I did is, I made a list of all of these channels. Then I made a list of all of their top videos from the last year, and I put them all in a list. And there was one video though that stood out above them all. And this video, I think at the time, had like 15 million views. It was like there was no other video that was even close to doing those kinds of views within my niche. And so it was this video by this guy, Redeemed Zoomer. And he made this video called All Christian Denominations Explained in 12 Minutes. And one thing that I noticed about that video that for me really clicked was if you read all of the comments, you had Baptists, you had Lutherans, you had Catholics, you had all these different people from these different groups coming to this channel or coming to this video, and they were excited to see, how Redeemed Zoomer was going to talk about their specific group.
Yep.
And so what I realized was a lot of the topics that I was creating at the time were so highly niched down that the video didn't even have the chance to reach a larger audience. And so
wait, hold up. Like, this is gold, guys. Like, this right here is literal gold, because when you had that realization, you're like, oh, there's only so many people that would really be hyper fixated in this super niche video.
yeah.
Like, how did you come to that conclusion? Was it just based on the content or the value that was there, or it's just like, no, only if you liked X, Y, or Z that you go deep?
I think having a little bit of knowledge about your niche is key. So I kind of had a little bit of knowledge about what Catholics believe, what Baptists believe, what Lutherans believe. You know, I had not an in-depth knowledge, but I had a little bit of a knowledge to understand, hey, if I release this video on, let's say the Rapture, which I recently did, and it's because there's a core audience that did really want me to release that.
Right.
But if I release a video on the topic of the Rapture, for example, a lot of Catholics are not going to care about that topic, because it's not a topic that a lot of them really talk about or believe or are interested in. And so I know it's going to apply to a smaller group of people. Yep. Versus if I release a similar video that is titled Second Coming of Christ. Now that's a topic that every Christian believes in. Every Christian knows about the second coming of Christ. So it has a broader appeal. And one of the things that has really helped me with this, so we talk about, you know, recon and research, and we talk about niches that are just oversaturated, right? Well, I actually think that oversaturated niches are the best niches for this reason.
That's true.
Yeah. Because, for example, in the Christian niche, there are thousands of AI generated channels out there. Basically somebody typed in a prompt and created the most lazy content in the world. You know, pushed out these channels, and they're everywhere. And I remember being so frustrated and annoyed at the time, because I was like, this AI channel has, you know, a couple of videos that are, you know, have over 1 million views or over 2 million views. Like, you know, that's not fair. I'm putting in tons of hours, script writing, learning how to write, you know, paying an editor. And then this guy comes along, or a girl or whoever, and, you know, creates this AI generated video. But here's the thing. If you look at that channel, they usually only have these AI generated channels. They usually only have a few videos on their channel that have really high views.
Right.
And the rest of the videos have very, very low views, you know, like less than 1,000 views versus over 1 million views on a few videos. So what I learned was that was gold. What I would do is I would find all these AI channels, and I would write down the topics that were getting the really high views. And once you do that like 50 times, once you do that 30 times, you start to see the trends, and you start to see like literally, I don't know if I have it. It would take me too long to find it, but I literally have like a paper, and I literally just wrote out the different topics that I kept seeing, and then I would put a little check mark next to it every time I saw a video that had really high views on a channel, and I would just keep marking those videos or those video topics, and pretty soon I started seeing, oh, second coming of Christ, it's a trend. Like,
well, let me dive into this, because I think you hit on some really gold and stuff that we talk about a lot when I mentor in Channel Jumpstart, but it's more about, you know, what are people responding to? And you went out and you're saying, okay, we're going out there, we're doing some recon and research. We see these videos that are really high performers, and then it's on a channel that doesn't have a lot of high performers, but there might be 2 or 3 videos. And then you started to see the patterns, and then you went a little bit more in depth in the comments to say, okay, Here's the psychological trigger of why they're seeing this as valuable content, and or it's a polarizing topic where they're having discussion, and there's a lot of discussion from there. So there's like a high engagement. But I think what most people do is that they'd actually just watch the video instead of realize, well, what's the appeal? Because there's an appeal of a click, because this one had more clicks than everything else. And then two, the content is content is title, thumbnail first, of course, and then hook. But I'm saying the content of the video is secondary, right? So like, is there a topic that is appealing and so on? That's kind of how you approach it. And then two, it gives you validation of, oh, maybe it's not to redo these videos, but there's a really high interest around these topics. Yeah. How do I make it mine? And then two, how do I do it from more of a broad reach audience instead of having it very narrow in that niche?
Yeah. So the way that I would look at it is I would look at two sides. So YouTube is all about, number one, getting the click. Right, that's half of the work, is the title and the thumbnail topic. Like, what topic are you doing? What's the title? What's the thumbnail? Then the second side of it is the actual video itself, the content of the video. And so I look at those two in a very separate way. In this way, when I'm trying to find the topic and the title and the thumbnail, I'm looking into these AI generated Christian channels. I'm looking into, the top channels in my niche, because I don't want to guess which topic is going to land. I want to look at what are people interested in, and why are they interested in it. And honestly, I have created videos that with a title, thumbnail, topic that was not found on another channel. But it's just because I've researched, I've done recon and research so much and read the comments, like you said, that I'm just starting to understand why people are caring about what. And so then I can actually, at that point, come out with a video that is, actually a little bit of a different topic than I've ever seen on YouTube, because I have a high degree of confidence that this is what people are interested in because of all of the comments I've read. And you just start to really just like internalize it after you've done it for so much. So
let's talk about that. So it becomes, okay, you're familiar with who you're creating content for, the value that you're bringing across, right? So at the end of the day, you're saying, okay, this is super valuable for them, that they're going to take 15, 20, 30 minutes and watch this whole in depth. And you're going to provide that value. Now, the question would be and I want to kind of show your channel here, so everybody can. There's a link in the description that you can find here. But I want to talk about new content. So you have this the map, like Entire Life on the Map, like that's a bucket. Why don't you kind of explain what that is, the bucket, and then I want to focus in on. I definitely want to focus in on. Some advice that I gave you and why, because I really want people to understand this.
Yeah,
this is something really important for content creators when you're creating new experiments of where you could go. But talk about this idea that you had about on the map.
Yeah. So basically, when I created this idea, so basically the idea is a Bible character, and then you're seeing where that Bible character is going on a map. And so we're talking about, you've all heard the story of Abraham, you've all heard the story of Jesus, but and you hear about them going to these different places, and there's all these strange names, like Gizar and, Shechem. And, you read these in the Bible and you're like, I have no idea what that even means or where that would even be located on a map. You can't even usually look on a map today because a lot of those names have been changed. Some of them have stayed the same, but a lot of them have been changed. And so what it is that's the bucket idea. But when it comes to which Bible character to pick, it goes back to this recon. And it's like, And so I actually had a list of Bible characters that people had done videos on that Bible character, not that Bible character on a map, but they've done videos on that Bible character. And some of them have done videos on, 20 different Bible characters. And there's certain Bible characters that would get more views than others. So
Yep.
Abraham, Jesus,
Yep.
Moses, like certain Bible characters, if you do a video on them, they're naturally going to have a wider appeal. More people will be interested in them. Yep. And so the idea was, I didn't really see anything on YouTube of a Bible character on a map, but I know for myself, and I know for many others, that they would love to have that information. They would love to see it in Christian bookstores.
Yep.
They're sold maps of like Bible characters, but there's no videos. Like there was like no videos. I couldn't find one video that is like seeing like an icon of Abraham move on a map to where he's going. It's just, you have to just only buy these books, and they sell great. I would imagine.
I remember when you told me the idea. You're like, hey, I'm going to kick around with this experimental bucket is what we call it, right? Like I have this idea for new content, and I haven't seen it online. And I go, well, Jonathan, if you don't see it online, then it has to be out there, right?
Yeah,
sure enough, it wasn't. Like we looked for it, there was nothing out there.
Yeah.
But the first thing that I thought was, holy cow, this is brilliant. Because of this. Before my parents would take me to church and whatever, and I would flip through the Bible, and in our Bible, we actually had the maps in the back. And that's where I would like spend most of my time when I wasn't even listening to the sermon. I was just like kind of going through. I was a young kid, right? But I was like imagining, okay, I wonder what it's like over there, whatever. And so I spent a lot of time there. And then I always kind of referred to those two as like, I'm wondering where this is at in relation. And I realized Jesus did a lot of walking, man. There's a lot of walking going on. But the key to this though was you went deeper. And most people don't do this, right? Which is Christian bookstores. So you already know the audience is leaning to go deeper into theology. They're trying to go into the scripture. And so they're going to gravitate over to a Christian bookstore, right? And so you saw these things, you had this amazing idea, and then you implemented it. And then too, I remember the conversation because you're like, oh, where do I start? And I think this is the most important thing.
Yeah. So I told you that I was going to start with the life of Abraham on a map.
Yep.
And you said don't do that.
Well, I think I said, why in the world would you want to do that?
Yeah.
I think that was it. I think that was my
yeah. Why in the world would you do that?
Yeah.
You got to start with the life of Jesus. Actually, what you said, you didn't even say that yet. You said you got to start with the center and work your way out.
Yep.
And then we at the same time, I think, said Jesus.
That's right. That's right.
We both understood what we were talking about.
I want to further clarify. When you're creating a new bucket and you're going with new content you've never done before, right? You have the highest opportunity to get a new audience. You just do. It's like lateral of what you're kind of doing, and you're taking a step away, just away a little bit wider. And so when you're saying let's do Abraham, it's not that Abraham would be bad. In fact, in all aspects, Abraham is connected to Jews, to Islam, and to Christianity. So it's like, yeah, Abraham's a great choice for that. However, that being said, it's like you can't dispute what your content's about. Your content's about Christianity. Yeah. Start with the center of Christianity, which is Jesus, and then work your way out. Now, the reason why is because I guarantee you, someone that watches 3 videos down the road of this bucket, guess what's going to magically show up in suggestion? Yeah. Is Jesus, right? It's like, okay, it all goes back to Jesus of where that's at. So it doesn't matter if it's Abraham or it's David or whoever. It's just like that recommendation. It says, oh, I found that. Or they found Jesus. I love the pun, and I like it in real life too.
Yeah, that's great.
Jesus, right? And they watched that map episode, And then guess what's going to be recommended? Oh, let's go deeper into it. Like what would have been like for Paul? Like this is like really, really fascinating stuff. But that video right now has a few views on it. I mean, it's like was released a month ago, and you have 2.6 million views on it. What did you learn from this? Like, what was the?
It's 5 BC.
What did you learn from this specific one?
Yeah, I think just realizing that, like, the thing is, like, it hadn't been done before, and it was something that people really wanted. Like, I got a lot of comments that were saying, you know, I've been looking for a video on this of a map of Jesus for such a long time. And finally this popped up, and you know,
Yep.
thank you for making this video. But you know, one of the things, like you mentioned, was so if you have a bucket, right, and content bucket is you know, this idea of, you know, blank Bible character's life on a map. You know, it has a similar thumbnail, it has a similar title, similar topic.
Yep.
And so people are naturally going to be interested in those things. I think when we think about content, at least for me, this was my struggle, and what you said to me really changed my mind on this. It didn't change my mind. It was just like illuminated. Is like, when we think of content, oftentimes, you know, we think about like shows, like we think about like, okay, we're starting the show with this thing, and then we're building up to this next show, and we're building up to this next piece of content. And with YouTube, it's just that's not the way YouTube works. With YouTube, it's like you're starting with the thing that people are going to see later. So you're starting with the end of their journey for a lot of people. And so if they find the Abraham video, the highest likelihood that they're going to be interested in the Jesus video, you know, is posting that video first, because that's what's going to pop up later on. If that makes sense.
And I think the big thing for me, it's like, if you're going to do it, let's have the highest probability for this new bucket to win.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to do it with the center of all Christianity, right? So it's like, hey, let's tackle that. When I look at this, and let me go back to this so you can see it, but like, you have 6,700 comments. I mean, there's a lot. And then what I like to do is just really read through so you can see the value prop that you're receiving here.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great opportunities to really even know what to do. Like before Abraham, I am. Now it's like interesting, because it's like, oh, okay, you know, they're starting to tie Abraham into this, even though that, you know, that's a specific scripture in the New Testament. But it's like, there's a lot of great opportunity to really understand the value. And what I love is like, hey, I'm not into Christianity, but I'm digging into the historical background of this. And so there's a lot of people that find the value in what you're creating. And then two, it gives you kind of a format of what to do next, because all it will be now is choose a different character, and then you break it down. You already know what's going to work based on the engagement of it.
Yeah. And really quick, also, another thing that was cool about this video was I released it like maybe a month before Christmas. And so as people are thinking about, you know, Christians are thinking about the birth of Christ, they're celebrating. The video is about the life of Christ. So naturally the video starts with the birth of Christ. And so I think that could have been one of the reasons that brought people into the video, that even made the growth even that much faster. And so, you know, thinking about kind of what's going on in the world, what's going on, you know, on YouTube, what content's being created, what are people looking at, and then realizing, okay, the best time to release this specific topic is going to be right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think timing is key. And I think as people are a little bit more hyper aware of a specific topic or theme, you're going to have a higher visibility. But
and here's
you have evergreen too, because like that's just an evergreen topic as well.
Yeah. And also another thing too, some of the comments I got with the Abraham video, was that so Abraham, the story of Abraham happens at the very beginning of the Bible. And so January is a time where people are starting to read the Bible again, and they're starting from the very beginning. And so I had comments from people saying, oh, this is perfect timing. You know, I just started reading this story. I've been going through it, and then this video popped up. So that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, I love, you know, the timing of things. I think, you know, finding the right time and the right engagement, then two, the correlation in. So one of the things that people need to do is sometimes they don't really let them know of other videos they make. And you got to realize that it doesn't matter how many videos that you upload. Every time that you upload a video, it's for the new viewer. Like they're discovering you for the first time. And even just saying a statement in it, you know, my most, you know, viewed video is like the map of Jesus in an entire life. Now the biggest request is Abraham. So you kind of dive into it and they're like, wait, you have one of Jesus? And then two is like, or in it, it's like, oh, here's where they cross paths. You know, here's when Abraham came into, you know, Jerusalem, and, you know, with that Porsche is similar to what Jesus did at this time, blah, blah, blah. You know, if you're interested in that, you know, it's in the description below, whatever. But it's just like, you gotta like paint the picture too, that there's more content. Or, you know, I've done this, who should I do next at the end of one? You know, getting them to feel like they're included into the community side of this. That's where it's brilliant. And so I would encourage you, out of the 3 options that I gave you, I'd probably encourage you the latter one, is the person that got all the way to the end of the video, say, okay, who do you want me to do next? Put it in the comments. And you'll start seeing people say, oh, do so-and-so, do David, do, you know, Paul, whatever. And then they're rooting for it. They're waiting for it. They're like, when are you going to do that next? You know? And so they're not going to forget about it. You might forget about it, but they're not, you know, because they're like, I found so much value into this. Why don't you go in depth on that? And so, well, cool. So now I would say you really understand the viewer. You understand what content would engage with viewers. You also did things new in the mix, where you saw something that you thought, oh, this would be interested. I would love to nerd out on that. And then two, there is validation because it happens over here in a Christian bookstore. And so you're now at a place where in just about a year, like how many subscribers because I know you were at a kind of a freak out moment when you signed up for Channel Jumpstart. Like how many views and subscribers did you get over the last year? Because you've been mentoring you for a year now.
So I think I started Channel Jumpstart with maybe 5,000 subscribers. And so now I think I'm at 220,000, somewhere around there.
Yep. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm there's like a dot. Let me see if I can download this, because there's a graph that I thought was interesting. Let me see if I can just get that real quick. Because like right out of the gate, you didn't post a video. You took some time consuming. Like how much it's not downloading for some reason. It's okay though, but it's just like one of the graphs. In fact, let me do it this way. This will be easier. I know how to do it. I want to show everybody this, because I think this is a really, really important graph to look at. Okay, I'll just put it into the browser here. I think a lot of people just focus in on content, and they might not give me 1 second. They might be so into it that they lose sight of what's really important. Well, that's not doing it. It's for some reason. Let me see if I can go. Yeah. It's just cutting it off. Let me try again. Sorry. Why don't you take a second, and because I really want this graph. So why don't you take a second and chat on where you're at. So you had 5,000 subscribers. Is that what it was when you started Channel Jumpstart?
Yeah, I had around 5,000 subscribers. I had joined Channel Jumpstart, and I have a photo. I sent it to your team recently, and it's a picture of me getting the little Channel Jumpstart box that you send.
Yeah.
And so it's like I took a photo with the little, like, I think you had to sign something. I don't remember what it
Of
was.
course, of
Like, I
course.
vow to, do good or whatever it is. And so I took a picture of that thing, and it was February 3rd that I took it. So it was literally like a year ago that I started Channel Jumpstart. And one of the things that I did was, and like, if you're on YouTube trying to figure out how to grow on YouTube, oftentimes what you do is you follow all of these different people in hopes that something that someone says sticks and you can grow. And I can tell you that that really doesn't work, because a lot of the gurus, a lot of the YouTube gurus out there, they all have different ideas of how to grow and different strategies. And so you kind of have to pick a lane. Like, you kind of have to, like, if you're going to go follow someone else, then great, follow that person, but take everything they say and then shut everyone else out. And that's what I realized once I
That's hard
realized
to do that, though. That's really hard.
that's what I did. That's what I
Yeah.
did. Literally a year ago, when I signed up for your thing, and I was basically like, okay, I am literally going to shut out every other YouTube guru, and I'm going to just listen to the philosophy that you teach.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's really helped.
because this is when you started. So I got the graph that you sent, right? So it's like that. And then here's your first video. And then you see this little teeny tiny bump, and this is what I want everyone to realize. It's like, this is the most common, common graph I see of success. Is never giving up. It's just like every time you bump, it's like release another video, you're increasing your baseline. But believe it or not, it's like, this is the key right here. And I remember vividly this moment for you, because like YouTube was trying to figure out your audience on June 1st. I don't know if you can see my cursor. You can see my cursor now.
Yeah.
But yeah, right here, it's June 1st. They're trying to figure out your audience. And then it goes in a low period. You're like, oh, okay, maybe I'm not working. And then you release a video. And then YouTube tries to grow this audience right here. And then that's the most fascinating area. And it's like, when you have a strategy, it's just wash, rinse, and repeat. And it's just like, grow that audience. And so right there, that's when it was interesting, because you're now getting views on these older videos right here, like literally the older videos. And people were discovering it. And this is where I want everyone to realize, like, I want YouTube to recommend your content. And if you do it using the system that I teach, in the sense of buckets, like, they can go deeper into it. And then 2, it's relational, because like you're going to have traffic on the homepage, or a subscription feed, that's browse feature, or suggested videos where it's on the side of the video or underneath the video, depending on the device type. But what YouTube will do is give a high probability of the person that's currently watching, or they've watched your videos. So like, let's say they watched 30 minutes of your video and they go back tomorrow. Well, guess what's going to magically appear on the homepage? Your other videos. So it's like, and it's going to only look at ones that would YouTube would view as the highest probability for them to click and to watch and to consume. So it's that relational data between them.
And one of the things that really matters, or at least this is what worked for me, and this is what I learned from you, is so this idea, going back to this idea of buckets, understanding how the bucket system worked. It took me a long time to figure it out. Like, I feel like I was very slow to figure it out. But once I did, and once it clicked, I believe that that bucket system has been one of the reasons why my channel has grown so much, is because once a video took off, because it had a specific title and thumbnail, if there was a previous video that was similar content, for example, like the actual way that my channel, like when it first took off, was I had released a video. I think it was the unforgivable sin. Within the unforgivable sin video, there was a little animation that I did where it was basically like video game themed.
Yep.
So I was explaining this intense topic using a video game. That was actually like a sidebar. Like that wasn't the main feature of the video. So the thumbnail did not reflect it. The title did not reflect it. It was just once you clicked on the video, then you were able to see that. And what I noticed was comments were coming in. People were saying, oh my gosh, this video game style is so cool. We love the video game. I mean, over and over and over and over again. Those were the comments. So then what happened next was I released another video, and I didn't take a hint actually from the first video. And I did another video game animation, but again, it was embedded in the video.
Right.
So you had to watch the video to figure it out. Well, what happened was when I released that second video, it took off a little bit, but then it's just started failing, you know, like, and so I was like, oh man, why aren't people clicking on this video? So I was like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. Let me change everything about this video.
Yep.
I went into YouTube editor. I edited out the parts that were not the video game animation. I switched the thumbnail for the video game, for like a video game animation style. And then I did it blank explained as a video game. So I made that. Then what I noticed next was the video started skyrocketing, but I didn't stop there because I understood the bucket system. What I did was I went back to the previous video and I re-edited in YouTube editor that video. So it was mainly the video game animation. I swapped the thumbnail out, and then it was blank explained as a video game. Now both videos started skyrocketing, and that was the moment that my channel started to take off.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I want to break this down so that everybody understands the bucket system. So the bucket system, I think Jonathan clearly explained what that is. Like it's the same type of content. Now, what he thought before was, oh, it's just maybe the title, thumbnail, opportunity. No. It's like literally your content.
Yeah.
So your content is your title, thumbnail, but it's also the videos. It's like this is what the video is about, and then all we're going to do is replace what we're talking about. So if it's video game, you know, Bible explained as a video game, or someone's explained as a video game. Okay, that is what the video is about. And so if they go into it and it doesn't feel the same as the other, you're missing the value. It's like they want to see it in video game form. You realize, oh, I needed to hear there. It worked kind of, but it didn't. But once you made the content what it was supposed to be, that's when it popped off. But then too, then you don't need to think, oh, to make it better, I need to, add all this other stuff in. No, you need to do it what they engaged with it, which is, well, what if it was explained like a video game, and how does that actually look? How can we make it better? What worked, what didn't work, and taking the data points, which I teach really, really in depth, which is understanding what worked, what didn't work for your new video coming out. And then what magically appears, like if I want to see something explained as a video game, YouTube's going to recommend it to me because I'm already engaging with it. Because it's like, oh, here's a series of videos, not just one video. And I think people says, oh no, I do buckets all the time. And when I read it and I say it, it's like, well, it didn't feel like the same video. Mm-hmm. It didn't have the keywords of the same video. In the content itself, it didn't even go across the same way. I don't see it being the same type of video.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just title and thumbnail. It's the actual pacing of the video, the style, the feel, and the topic, like similar topics, as well.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And so now you are extending your buckets, you're understanding where it's at. And I want to talk about the conversation we had before we started this, which was, I'm like, you're going to need to post more. You need to post longer. Let's talk about that. It's like, I know I've mentioned this before. It's like, hey, now you're here and you're like, oh, my editor's going to hate me.
Yeah.
But let's talk about it. Cause like right now, how often are you posting?
It's a mess. So I'm posting like every 3 weeks.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And consistency is the key. Like seriously, it's so key. Now you're thinking, oh, I'm being consistent monthly content. That was in your mind, right? You're like, hey, if I can get it out once a month, Doing pretty good.
No, I know I'm failing in the consistency area.
Yeah. But here's the thing is if you have momentum, the key to momentum is consistently adding to that momentum. Now, I don't like mental health. I don't want to stress anybody out about this, but what I told Jonathan, I'm like, just hire another editor. I mean, you're making more money now.
Yeah.
Just hire another editor. They can do the other videos, but your video should be longer. It should be a bit, but 20 to 30 minutes, because the explainer type videos, they want to nerd out. They want to go in depth. So get some good script writing, get that done. But then also it's like, if you can start developing other buckets besides, the map and the journey and its other bucket, you got to start testing those out, because you already have multiple buckets that are working, but you need to space them out. You need to give them more time. If not, you're going to be hitting the same bucket over and over again, which that's not a good thing too, because then the viewer can get exhausted on that.
Yeah, no, I have so many other ideas and bucket ideas that I feel within like my deep heart that they're going to pop off.
Yeah.
And it's because I understand, like, okay, if somebody likes this type of video, they're also going to be interested in this type of thing as well.
Yeah.
And just understanding that viewer, that really helps. But no, consistency is huge. It's hard to sit down and write a video. And that's another like bottleneck for me too, is like, I need to I need to gather enough discipline to sit down and be able to write out my script. And then, like you said, maybe hire another editor to help me.
Well, I do something, all my students know this, Jonathan, you know this. I do what we call work week analytics, where I take my day and I document from waking up to going to sleep, everything that I do, both in business, personal, everything. And I do that for a solid 7 days. And at the end of the 7 days, I take 2 highlighters. The first highlighter color everything that I hated to do. I like to mark those. And then the second thing is everything that wasted my time. And I try to minimize that. And then I try to maximize where I'm efficient. Now, one thing that I do is, I don't know, are you a morning person, afternoon person, or evening person?
Morning person. So that's when I write the best.
Yeah, I'm telling you, what I learned is my precious time. And my team knows never to interrupt me during my optimal time. And so like I delay everything. And so I like to wake up, do my morning devotional, exercise a little bit, and then get right into the meat of the work. I'm the most optimal there,
Yeah. And the thing is too, like a big part of it is like, I so believe in the message that I'm sharing. Like I personally believe that Jesus Christ came down to this earth. He died on the cross for our sins. And that if anybody believes in him, that they will have eternal life. And so when I'm making this content, it has a far, far bigger purpose than just, my own little life that I'm living. And I know for many people on this call, they may have, content that they're passionate about. And honestly, like, one of the reasons I got on, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this, was because I had received so much value from YouTube, like channels that have helped me with my finances when I felt lost. I'm thinking of Charisma on Command.
Yeah.
I mean, that video literally like revolutionized my life. Like, I can see a clear change from before I watched that channel, how I was, and then after I watched that channel, how I was. And it was a transformation. So whatever your message is, whatever your transformation you're providing for the viewer, that's what should drive you to make this content. Yeah.
I can tell you, for me being a believer, I'm passionate about it. And I love YouTube, but for me, at the end of the day, like, it's all about passion. Where's your passion? And then YouTube gives us the ability to share that passion and create communities around it, right? And you found value in YouTube. And what I love about you was I received so much, I also need to give. And so this is your opportunity to give. and it's going to inspire somebody else to do the same thing. They're going to see, oh my gosh, I totally transformed. I can see someone coming on and says, hey, ears to hear, like it changed me, and now I want to do this as well. I want to share, and that's a feedback loop I can get behind. Like if at the end of the day, it's like giving the world great content and confidence and the ability, like I'm all for that. I don't care if it's done through video games. I don't care if it's done through, documentary type style, if it's done through humor. It's like the world deserves to have more light. We're in some dark times, and the light can be shared through YouTube. That's why I love it so much. I mean, it's so great, so great. Well, very good. Well, let's. I know a lot of people are interested in YouTube, their journey. Would you be open to taking some questions and going from there?
Sure.
Okay, before we do, I just want to let everybody know that we have VidSummit coming up October 7th through the 9th in Dallas, Texas. I'm gonna play a quick video, then we're gonna come on. Get your questions ready because Jonathan and I are gonna answer some questions. Oh my gosh. I know you have never been to VidSummit, but it's my jam, man. I love it so much. There's so many people that I get to connect with. It's our 12th year. I am super excited for this year. We have some really crazy things that's going to happen. So make sure you jump on, grab your tickets. It's going to go quick. We actually sold out of 8 hotels last year. It was so hard to find a place. So you don't want to delay because we're really going to be pushing it hard. We got some big announcements, which is great. So I definitely want to let everyone know that the reason why I create VidSummit is what Jonathan said. So Jonathan saw a talk at VidSummit with Roberto Blake that led him into creating better content, and it led him on the journey to really do what he's done here. And that's the main reason why I wanted a conference where creators can share with other creators. It wasn't just because they're popular. No, they get it. They understand the business side. They understand the economics. They understand, how it means to meet a deadline, how it means to be consistent, and really bring these people together and learn from each other. And so we have an amazing culture. If you've never heard about it, go to vidsummit.com. You can get your tickets and then also get more detail. But I'm telling you, this year it's going to be completely off the charts. I'm really excited. We finally got it to a place where I'm like, oh my gosh, VidSummit's actually amazing. Which I always think that anyway, but it just it gets better every year. Every year it gets better. So for those that are on the live stream, if you've never been a part of it, a VidSummit, just put that in there. And then those that have been to VidSummit, put what your experience is like in the comments. So love it. Okay, so we're going to use this as here we go. We're going to just get there we go, right here. We're going to just actually go through some questions. And if you have a question about VidSummit, if you have a question about YouTube, if you have a question for Jonathan, put it in here. But this one was because Jesus was asked, how do you animate your video? Do you do it yourself or what do you do?
So I do not. So when I first started on YouTube, I would edit all of my own videos. And then they came to a point where I realized, okay, if I'm really going to do this, then if I invest all of my time into the skill of editing and animating only to later pay someone else to do it, it wasn't worth it for me anyways to do that. So I ended up actually spending money that I really didn't have at the time to produce these higher quality videos. But I only did that after I learned about, after I took Daryl's, after I got training from Daryl, because then I felt confident, or at least more confident, that the videos that I was going to put out were actually going to do well at some point. So,
yeah, and I think too, it's just having a way to look at YouTube. My Channel Jumpstart program, I try to get my students to realize how I see YouTube. And I don't see it like everybody else. I see it through a very specific lens. And then once you start seeing it, then it's almost like you could have that anticipation of, oh, this will work. This will be a banger. Oh, I can see where this would go. I love it. Love it. Great question there. Let me move on to the next one. Gracie Hayes. What if I have too many ideas? How do I decide what to do? Like when you have a list of 50 videos, how do you pick the video that you do? Like what you have all these ideas. How do you actually go through the process to pick what you should create?
Yeah. So for me, it's what I shared was so for me, it helps to at least start with what is the highest likelihood that this video is going to do well. And the way that you can know that is, has that video idea already done well? And so you look at, okay, yeah, this idea is doing well on all of these channels. Now, how can I make it my own? And the way that I kind of look at that is you kind of have to go usually outside of your own niche, and you study other niches, and you study videos in the other niches that have done well that are not the same idea. Obviously they're talking about something totally different, but you study the style, you study the pacing, you study the intro, you study the writing, and then that will kind of help you to flesh out, okay, this is how I want to make this video.
Yep. Let's move on to the next question. Jonathan, what are some examples of a bucket that you have and how they differ from each other? Like, how do you approach buckets? And then, because it's like you have content, right? And give an example of what a bucket is again, and then how do they differ from a content from the content's perspective?
Yeah. So once you understand the viewer, so you understand, like for my channel, it's Christians who are wanting to understand Bible better, let's just say, and so creating buckets that are going to help them achieve that. So I have one bucket that is the video game idea, and it's basically complicated theology explained as a video game. So, or theology that for most people is difficult to understand, explained as a video game. So that is like the bucket idea of that one. I have another one that is the maps. So we have a Bible character on the entire life of a Bible character on a map.
Yep.
And so that's a bucket idea. I have prophecy timelines. So, you know, second coming of Christ, the rapture, the Antichrist, all of these prophetic ideas on a timeline. And I try to make thumbnails look the same. I try to make the title look similar. But really it's the topic that people are coming for and the way that it's being presented.
Yeah, so it's like the flow. The flow should be the same. So I like to liken it to other things that people are used to. So it could be like a television episode of a specific, you know, Big Bang Theory or whatever. Like it's literally the same thing. What's different is the situation, right? So it has the same flow, has the same characters, stuff is going there. Then you can change that out. For me, I like to look at buckets as, okay, let's keep the same flow. Let's keep the same similar title, similar thumbnail. And then what we just change out is the what, right? What is the video about? So if it's about video games, Bible explained as video games, well, okay, that's great. But what part of the Bible are you explaining? And so it should feel the same way as they go through. What's different is the value that they're getting based on the topic of that content. And then two, on the, you know, the map, I mean, that's an easy one because you're showing, okay, here's the entire life of Jesus on the map. Okay, great. Here's the entire life of Abraham on the map. Okay, great. Well, then all you got to do is just replace the character of who's on the map, and it goes great from there. So that's a great question. Love it. Okay, next one. I'll answer this one. Build and fix with Mooney. Do you think one video, one short a week is good to post? Look, I just want you to be consistent. I think if I was starting a new channel, I would be at least weekly. And then two, I would also try to post shorts. Shorts was complicated for years. It's not complicated anymore. I would still kind of gauge, is the value the same in a short as the long form? Because you don't want to create two different audiences for it. What you want to do is like learn from it. In fact, on the live stream last week, we actually had Mary Allison, where she does shorts to validate before her bucket ideas for her long form, and it's working. And the shorts are very relational for her long form. But yeah, I would definitely do one video long form, one short form. However, that being said, not everybody's situation is the same. I don't know how much time it takes to create content. I know Jonathan here might spend 30 hours or 40 hours. He might not be able to do it at the beginning scenario. And so do what's best for you. I would say the more consistent that you are, then you can actually start growing an audience that would actually find consistent value. And that's how you grow really, really fast on YouTube. Okay. Next one. This is under the median. Once you have find a content bucket, do you track which videos fit in each bucket, or how do you decide the bucket is full and then you need to create a new bucket? I think I'll answer this one because I don't know if you understand what buckets is. A bucket's never full. It's just never full. You know, it's like if you lose ideas, that's when it's full. It's like you can't go deeper into it. But I want you to, we use the word bucket because in marketing, it's used as content bucket. It's like very specific content that's the same as when you do that in marketing. But let me kind of break down this so that you actually understand it. Buckets are your content strategy. If you just do the same content over and over and over again, it will work, okay? But then it will also exhaust people and like, oh, I've already seen this, or this isn't too exciting, and they lose excitement for it, right? And so if I was releasing content on YouTube, and I'm following the idea of that previous question, one video a week, I would need to have 4 or 5 buckets. And the reason why is because if you just do it the same every week, it's the same. I might get a lot of views temporarily in the beginning, but over time, you're just hitting that same vein over and over and over again. And there are people on this call that I know have done that and now are broadening it out and say, oh my gosh, I get so many views because I give this time to breathe. And then also I inject other type of content. So 4 or 5 buckets is what I generally want every creator to have. Now, that being said, it might start with 1 and then you need to experiment. And that's what Jonathan was able to do, is he was able to experiment. It works now with 2. Now you need to experiment for 3. And when you have 3 solid buckets, that's actually going to lift the channel, because once one video takes off in the bucket, it's going to have that recommendation content within that bucket. And then it's also going to recommend your other content too, because YouTube doesn't always just go down the rabbit hole. It's going to recommend similar content, and that's that similar content in similar buckets. So, man, we're nerding out here, Jonathan. That was there you go.
That's great.
All right, this is for you. Daryl, how do I become your student? How did you become my student, Jonathan?
So, so I found your book. That was how I started. It was funny. I was actually, I was following another YouTube guru, and they asked that guy, how did you, or is there a book that I could read that would help me? And he said, Daryl Eves' book, read it like 10 times. And so I got the book. I read the book, and I started to try to implement a lot of the strategies, but Channel Jumpstart is the training that basically goes a lot deeper. And for me, I needed that. For me, I needed to have something that I was a part of weekly, where I was able to ask questions to Daryl. I was able to talk with the team, and really just hyper focus on the channel. And so that's what really helped me. Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys are interested, we're starting another cohort here in a few weeks. It's in the description. You can talk to Jackson. But for me, I didn't want to do a course. I want to create a community, and then 2, it's more the strategy. So when I look at Channel Jumpstart, it's more of a strategy and a community of, this is how we approach content. This is how we approach content creation in the business side. And so, let me go to, let me hit a couple more real quick. It seems that I have 2 distinct types of audiences: those who enjoy learning while you sleep videos, and prefer well-structured Spanish lessons. Since both formats, what do I focus in on? Okay, I can tell you here, I learn why I sleep. I have headphones on and I do audiobooks, and my retention is pretty crazy. There's something about that. I don't know. What I would do is it's like 2 separate audiences. I'm not going deep on it. So I wrote really, really long videos on learning why I sleep. And so I would have that on one channel, and then the other channel will be the other one. Because if you have 2 different audiences, those that want to go deeper on that, they're not getting that, because they're like, oh, I'm interested in this but not the other. And so I'd separate it out. And believe it or not, I'm a huge fan of multiple channels. Let me just show you my background. You can see I'm a fan of multiple channels. I like the gold play buttons. But the reason why is because it can feed each other if it's within that vein. It's like, hey, the audience do like these longer form videos, but they also like these other videos. But it's the timing of it and the intent of what value you're bringing. That's when you need to separate it out. So love that. Okay, let me go back to another question here. John, okay, how do you know if it's nice is too narrow or low reach? How do you know if a niche, I think is what he meant to say, is too narrow or low reach? What would you say on that?
I think it's all about goals. So what is your goal? Are you trying to reach a niche audience because you have a business that you're trying to grow?
Yep.
What is the goal? So when I started with Daryl, we always start with goals.
Yep.
And so I had tried different niches within the Christian space. And what I realized when I sat down and wrote my goals was, my goal is actually to get this message to as many people as humanly possible, which means my goal is to get as many millions of views as I possibly can. And so once I realized that was the goal, then I had to look at what, like, okay, so what content is resonating with millions of people? And that's
Yep.
how you can kind of learn, is like research. You study it.
Yeah, I 100% say it's not all about how many views you get. It's just getting the right type of view. And so the right type of view would come off of what you just said, which is goals. So if your goal is to sell something that's specialized for only a group of people, then, you know, I would rather have 10 of the right people watching it. And if I can get, you know, half of them to buy, then my goal is achieved, right? I have people that are making millions and millions and millions of dollars off of minimal views, and the minimal views is just the right type of viewer. And YouTube does an amazing job finding the right type of viewer when they're looking for very specialized niche content. So it's not about the amount of views, it's just getting the right views. And then two, on this one, John, if you watch this replay when it comes out, Jonathan said he went there and realized, oh, I was so hyper fixated on my audience that I was only appealing to this audience, and I needed to broaden out because my goal was to go to more people, i.e., I need to go a little bit, you know, out and relate to more people in this specific niche. And that led to the ideas that he saw to implement on his channel, and it was able to go from there. So that's a great way. That's a good question. Next is coming from ZFD Films. We just want to add The Chosen as the Path to Jesus videos were incredible. Help me learn even through hard times. Thank you so much. Like my favorite gold play button, honestly, I'm not going to lie, is right behind that TV guide, magazine. Behind that gold play button is The Chosen. It's a TV show that we started 8 years ago. I'm executive producer, co-founder. We're just coming up in the 5th season. And the 5th season I'm really excited for because it's basically the stories that everyone knows, which is the last week of Jesus is going through his last week. Got season 5, season 6 going to be coming up, and that'll be the crucifixion, and then season 7 is the resurrection. So it's going to be so good. So good. So I just love content. It's so good. Okay. Next question. Is there an audio version of the book? Yes, I'm insta buying it. Do it now. Go get it. And I want everybody to know, like this book is still relevant. It is so good. It's more going from the psychology of the viewer. Like I like to give history of YouTube, history of the algorithm, history of their intent. And then we part 2 is the case studies. And I like when people actually apply it. And then the part 3 is the YouTube formula. So go grab that. You can grab it on Audible, and or, you know, go to Amazon and you can get the Kindle book or whatever you need to. Okay. We are out of time. Jonathan, I want to thank you so much for your willingness to come on and to share something. And I do want you to give one last bit of advice. There are people frustrated right now that they're not getting it, or they've listened to all the training, they've gone through the book. What advice would you give them around content creation?
Yeah. So what I would do, one of the pieces of advice is, like, if you understand that, like we mentioned this at the very start, is there's this little voice in your head that's telling you to quit. There's this little voice in your head that's telling you it's not worth it. But that little voice is also in everyone else's head too. So I would encourage you to continue creating the content, continue pushing and creating the content. And then when you do create a piece of content, one of the things that I always ask myself, even when I was getting hardly any views, was, if I were to make this, like, what if I created this video and I knew that 1 million people were going to see this video? And so I would put that much effort in, as if 1 million people were going to see this piece of content. And sometimes it would flop. But what's crazy is, even videos that had flopped prior, the ones that I actually put high effort into, those videos now today have hundreds of thousands of views.
Correct.
So there may be a video that you create today that doesn't see the light of day for, I think that video literally took 9 months before it took off. And so you might be doing that. You might be putting in like 80 hours of work into one video and not seeing the results, you know, or the fruit of all the work that you put in, but keep creating content, keep following Daryl's advice. And yeah, my best advice is like, do whatever Daryl says. Like read his book and literally do whatever Daryl says.
No, but when it comes to YouTube, it's true. And what I would say is create for the one. You got to be passionate about something, create for the one, but be appealing that it's that new viewer coming in. If the new viewer is seeing your first video for the first time, how much value can you bring to it? What I do love is what you said is like, you never know that video it could take off, and it took 9 months. Sometimes YouTube's like literally figuring out the audience. And that audience is so engaged. And once you have an audience, it's going to recommend your older content if it's the same audience. So create videos for people, not for yourself. I think for yourself, you have that passion as a creator, but realize if you expect more than one view, then you have to really have that viewer in mind.
Yeah.
If you're only making for yourself, that's fine. And it still could impact and it still could go out there. But the probability of that going out for everyone is not going to be there. You have to look at from a broad appeal, like how do I actually do this? And then create that creation, that video with the intent that someone's going to need to enjoy it. Someone's going to need to find value. Now you might say, oh, I would find value here or I would disconnect there. That's what it means to be a good content creator, right? But you need to be more intentional, especially here on YouTube. Guys, thank you so much. Jonathan, thank you so much. Appreciate you all coming on. And don't forget, all the stuff's in the description, the book, VidSummit. Also, if you want to be a part of Channel Jumpstart, become my student. It's all there. So thank you so much. Jonathan, thank you so much. Appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on the next video.